Am I the a-hole for not paying for my niece's college even though I can? I, 45 female, and my husband Jay, 49 male, have 4 children. Ted, 20 male, Susan, 18 female, and Vicky, 9 female, and Charles, 7 male. The older 2 children are biologically my male cousin's kids. Him and his wife unfortunately passed away when the kids were just 2 years and 3 months old. None of the family members were able to or wanted to take in the children at the time. I was the youngest and still in med school then, but my husband was financially stable. He was extremely fond of Ted. Susan had just been born, so he suggested we become legal guardians for the time being, and it was the best decision of my life. Last week, at a family get-together, Susan announced she got a full scholarship to her dream university. My female cousin then pulled me aside to tell me that my other niece was 18 now and had gotten accepted into the same university as Susan. I congratulated her, but then she said I have to transfer Susan's and Ted's, he got scholarship as well, college funds to her account to pay for her niece's tuition and living expenses as the university was out of state. I thought she was joking and laughed in her face, but she glared at me and told me that since I was going to pay for Ted and Susan, I have to pay for her daughter as well because both are my nieces. I said Ted and Susan were mine and Jay's children. We formally adopted them. But she said since Ted, Susan, and her daughter are first cousins, she's sibling of my late male cousin, they are the same, and my children don't need it anyways. I was extremely annoyed at this point, and said even so, it was still their money, and for them to do as they please. She left it at that, and I thought it was over. But today, she called me saying she was willing to forgive my appalling behavior if I paid for my niece's tuition and living expenses as an apology gift. I told her she was out of her mind and hung up. After cooling down a bit and thought maybe I should just suck it up and pay it to keep the peace and was talking with my husband about it, and he told me I was not obligated to help and it should be my decision. I finally decided not to. Now family members are calling me an a-hole because I broke my niece's dreams over some grudge. It's not that I hate her, but her behavior towards my children and family has never been the best. And my niece has never tried to reach out or bond with my kids, instead has sometimes belittled them, but that is another story. All relatives know this, so they think that is the reason, and well, that is a part of it. So, am I the a-hole for not paying for my niece's college even though I can? Edited to add, when she called me, she did not ask for my children's funds, as I had made it clear that I wasn't going to give it. She instead wants me to give her money out of our savings. That is why I'm asking. I would never give my children's funds, but maybe I'm the a-hole for not giving money from savings which we still leave enough for retirement. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They are your children, not your nieces. Blood relations don't matter here, and your cousin suggesting otherwise is vile. She is responsible to come up with a college fund for her kids. As you have realized, it would be punishing them for doing great enough to get scholarships to just give the money you saved for them away. She should ask for your forgiveness, not the other way around. She is out of her mind here. They should be calling your cousin an a-hole over not considering to help out her own daughter. She didn't work hard enough to get a scholarship, and your cousin seems to have tried not to save or be willing to help cover the cost. If they call you, they can help out. Easy as that. Also, if niece has treated your kids badly, she doesn't really have anything to say here. She made her own bed. Not the a-hole. Even if you did want to pay for their college, there's no reason to wire her the money. Niece is an adult now after all. If the money should be going to anyone, it's either to niece or to the college directly. However, you have no obligation to pay at all. Plus, even with full-ride scholarships, it's not like the school is going to be giving them money for anything but the necessities. They'd probably still like to have the money so they can have fun and enjoy college. Wow. Just wow. You are clearly not the a-hole, but your cousin is so much the a-hole that I'm astonished that the rest of your family can't see it plain as day. When I started to read this, I saw that you had adopted Ted and Susan. I was nervously expecting that by niece, you meant that you didn't want to pay for Susan's university despite having adopted her, and was all set to say you're the a-hole. Only if you were paying for your own bio kids, mind you. But this? You are obviously a lovely, loving, generous parent, not only to your bio kids, but to Ted and Susan, who you have made clear you see entirely as your children as well, and have provided for in the same manner as if they were born to you. And I won't say that that's beautiful. Although we see too many people in this sub treat adopted or stepkids differently, because what it is really is simply appropriate. But for your cousin's sister to shift her parenting and financial responsibilities onto you, despite the fact that her child hasn't lost any parents, is not your reward and be so obnoxious as to simultaneously make an incredibly huge and inappropriate financial demand of you. And to denigrate your relationship with Ted and Susan, your adoptive children, by insisting that they are no different from your other nieces or nephews, is beyond horrifying. This gets said time and again on the sub, but it bears repeating. The fact that you have money does not mean that you owe that money to anyone else, including extended family. Nor does the fact that they want that money. Your niece has her own parents, and she is their responsibility. Ted and Susan are now your children, and have no one else to take responsibility for them. Again, you are not the a-hole, but your sister cousin absolutely is. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my niece and nephew's college? So I, 28 female, have been married to my husband John, 38 male, for the last 4 years. John comes from a very rich family, whereas I come from a very poor family. From the moment I introduced John to my parents and siblings, 43 female Allie, 38 male Anthony, and 37 male Bill, my sister has made snide comments about how I'm a kept woman, how I looked for a man to take care of me, and how I'm basically a sugar baby. None of that is true. I have a very high-paying job. And honestly, I didn't even know John was rich for the first few months we were dating, because he lives a very laid-back normal life. He told me about his wealth when he asked me to meet his parents because he didn't want me to be caught off guard when meeting them. I got contact with Allie not long after John proposed to me, because she started sending nudes to John, telling him to leave me for her, etc. There was a big fight when he turned her down. Then she called him a cradle robber and some other less than pleasant things. This was 4 years ago. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago when I got a call from my mom asking me to come to dinner at her house. I thought nothing of it, and John and I went. Imagine my surprise when my sister and her kids, 18 male and 18 female, showed not long after. John and I wanted to leave then and there, but my mom begged us to stay and listen, so we did. Apparently, Anthony and Bill had let it slip that I had helped them out with paying tuition for my 2 nephews and niece. Because of this, Allie asked me if I was willing to help her pay for her kids too. When she asked me this, I was stunned because I know that the twins' late father had left enough money for them to attend college. When I asked her about that money, she said she had to spend half of it to pay bills the last 2 years, because the pandemic hit them hard when she lost her job. I told her this was sad, but I'm not helping her pay for their tuition because 1, we haven't spoken in 4 years, 2, she has been nasty to me my entire life, and 3, she hasn't even apologized for what she did to me. She said all that was in the past, and that I should just move on. This made me even angrier, and I just left without saying anything else to her. My mom has been calling me every day since, asking me to just give them the money because I can't afford it. Anthony and Bill apologized for telling her what I did for them, and said they will support any decision I make. My sister posted online about how I was being a greedy aunt, who refuses to help her less wealthy family, but I have been getting some hate from people. Some of Allie's friends even called to tell me I was being petty. My husband, even though he is angry and embarrassed by the situation, said he will support me no matter what decision I make. I kind of feel like an a-hole in this whole situation, because I could help my sister out with the tuition, but I am just refusing to because of how she has treated me my entire life. So I want some stranger's opinion on if I'm being an a-hole here. Not an a-hole. She slags you off, sends inappropriate images to your partner telling him to leave you, then goes crazy when told no and don't speak for 4 years, then comes in an organized ambush, shows up at an unexpected dinner invite from your mother, and just comes out with this? My god, what is such a must-have? Holy crap. And to be honest, your mother is not far off as bad for what she is doing either, knowing what she has done. This isn't a live and let die situation in my opinion. I am astonished by the audacity of the sister and mother. What the sister did is a serious betrayal that warrants no contact. However, the mother expecting Opie to bury the hatchet is like condoning Allie's behavior. What gets to me is that Allie didn't even apologize just once. I bet Allie got her attitude and entitlement from her mother, since mom is not far off. Not a a-hole. You have no obligation to sponsor your niece and nephew's education. It is not your responsibility at all. Also, just because you are better off, it does not mean your family is automatically entitled to your money. And finally, Ellie does not deserve any help from all she had done. Not a-hole times 1000. She started sending nudes to John, telling him to leave me for her, etc. There was a big fight when she turned her down. She called him a cradle robber and some other less than pleasant things. This crap right here? You don't owe her a damn thing for the rest of your life. She tried and failed miserably to seduce your husband. She is jealous she didn't get the rich husband and has been bitter about it ever since. Screw her. She just wants to use you for money. Actions have consequences. These are hers. That being said, if you want to help your niece and nephew with the debt quietly later on, that's always an option. But keep her out of it. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to share my college fund? I, 19 female, have an aunt, Amy, 38 female, who I love and she loves me dearly. It's never been explicitly stated, but between my sister Kim, 17 female, and I'm the favorite niece. I didn't really notice. I was around my early teens, but whenever I had an event, my aunt would always try to be there, while she was never there for anything my sister did. I got nicer presents, there are pictures of me in her house, and she texts/calls me regularly. She barely acknowledges my sister, and I never knew why. One of the reasons why it took so long for me to notice was because whenever someone would mention something about a different treatment, our mom would brush it off. And since Amy was my paternal aunt, I just accepted it. Fast forward to now, and my mom sat me down and asked me if I would be willing to go to a less expensive school so I could have extra money to share with Kim. Aunt Amy set up a fund for me and my two cousins but didn't have a dime for Kim. She did this with Kim looking at me for an answer and got upset that I didn't give a definite yes. She accused me of not caring about her just like Aunt Amy and is refusing to speak to me until I give her half the money. I thought that this was wildly unfair and asked my parents why they didn't have their own fund for Kim since Aunt Amy was taking care of me. They said that they did, but it wasn't as much as what Aunt Amy had for me. She's a smart woman who makes a lot of money and admitted that they had to dip into it to help pay for things when my dad wasn't working because of COVID. I feel bad for Kim, but I don't want to sacrifice my future college experience for it. Am I really being so maliciously selfish? Now for the comments. Not a-hole. Amy can do what she likes with her money, and you should be able to go to whichever school you choose. However, I'm surprised your parents haven't called Amy on this. If it was me, I need to sit down with Amy and ask her outright why there's favoritism. That's something I've started to ask now that I'm aware. My aunt always said she loved her siblings' children equally, and whenever Kim complained growing up, my parents would brush it off. Is there any chance that she thinks your younger sister is an affair child and not biologically her niece? That is the only explanation I could think of. But it still makes no sense that Kim would be treated differently if your father treats her as an equal daughter. Everyone sucks here. You knew there was favoritism. You witnessed it. It is quite hard to believe you didn't take advantage of that favoritism. Let's be real for a minute. That being said, it was given to you and it's yours to do with as you please. Your aunt is a giant a-hole, and so are your parents for not being objective enough to see it when it started. Your sister will resent you. She is right to do so because you took advantage of the situation instead of calling it out, and possibly having to share many years ago. You reap what you sow. My take on this is that it's a hell of a thing to be asked to give up a college fund, so I wouldn't blame Opie if the answer was no. However, if her sister hates her for the rest of her life and thinks she's scummy, it would be hard to argue that the sister is wrong. You're the a-hole. Yes, of course, you have no obligation to share your fund. It's within every right to go to the more expensive school and have your parents figure it out. However, I don't know how you could morally be okay with accepting all of this money fully aware there was favoritism, and your sister continues to get the crappy end of everything. If I had the opportunity to help my little sister, damn right I'd split it with her. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife I won't/can't watch our son? I have a good job, I make good money, and I work hard enough to earn it. To the point that about 4 years ago after our son was born, when my wife decided not to go back to work, I became the only source of income. This worked out well and everyone was happy, until COVID hit. Once the pandemic started causing shutdowns, my role was transitioned from an office downtown to working from home. I was a big fan of this. I work 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday typically, So not having to commute meant that now I got to be home to put my son to bed and read him at night, and have more time to spend with my wife in the evenings. The only problem is that my wife has struggled with the idea that the location of my job has changed, but my responsibilities have not. I've had several discussions with her about the fact that even though I'm home now, I'm not able to watch our son during the day, or explaining why I can't get to the dishes till that evening. She will nod along too, but I don't think she really believes it. This has caused tension but not an outright fight until this week. Some of our mutual friends are coming into town this weekend, and we had made plans to spend time with them. However, on Monday, my wife informs me that the couple is actually getting in Friday, and she and her friend are going to get lunch and go shopping. She tells me that I need to watch our son, and I respond by saying again that I can't. I have work, and Monday to Friday is not enough heads up for me to take a day off. She gets angry at me, saying she watches our son every day while I just sit in my office from sunup to sundown, and how I should be able to watch our son so she can have a day off. She's given me the cold shoulder since then. I would love to spend a day with my son. I just can't take the time off in such short notice. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but working 14 hours per day, 6 days a week is simply not sustainable for any family or marriage. I was just going to say the same thing. It's great that he can provide, but the lack of time at home with the family is taking its toll. What kind of job requires those hours anyway? One working with coders from Seattle to Warsaw. Everyone sucks here. Your wife is an a-hole for expecting you to take time off rather last minute. You are an a-hole because you are putting all of the child rearing on her even if she is a stay-at-home mom. This boy's still your son. You're working 14-hour days. 6 days a week is freaking ridiculous. Very few relationships can even last with work hours like this. If I am correct, you are a project manager in a tech company. If this is the case, you are salaried. You aren't getting paid more to work overtime. It really makes me wonder if you are messing around your computer most of the day, which leads to these hours. That, or you work at a crappy company. While overtime is common in the tech industry, 80 hours plus weeks are not. Even the people I know making $200,000 a year in tech only average 50 or so hour weeks. Something isn't right with us. You really need to start focusing on your family, or else you won't have them anymore.
Am I the a-hole for financially screwing over my sister after finding out she's close with my ex and his wife? Usually, I wouldn't take personal advice from strangers online, but everyone in my life seems to think I'm a petty, scorned, bitter woman, which I probably am, and I need objective advice. My ex-husband, currently 43 male, and I, 43 female, were college sweethearts. For me, life felt perfect. I trusted him completely. That's why it was so shocking when I found out he was in love with his much younger colleague. She was around 24 at the time. I won't get into the details of how I found out, but the affair was well known at his workplace. When I confronted him, all he said was, "I'm sorry, I tried really hard not to fall for her." He didn't seem sorry at all. It felt like he wanted me to leave him. So I did. That was 6 years ago. Our son was 4 then, and it was the worst time of my life. I honestly don't know how I got through it, and because I was desperate, I wanted him to fight for me, to fight for our family. But he didn't. He was quick to sign the divorce papers and didn't even fight for custody. It was as if he had started a new life and completely erased the old one. It took years of therapy to feel normal again, to stop checking that woman's social media and comparing myself to her. The fact that she's very pretty and charming didn't help. His family loved her. And as disgusting as it sounds, one of our common friends even said it out loud. I don't support cheating, but I mean, look at her. When I told her about the cheating, I guess that's what everyone was thinking. This one was just stupid enough to voice it out. So I had to cut off that group of friends too. They got married 3 years ago and now have a daughter. A picture-perfect little family. The current arrangement is that our son stays with my ex on weekends and holidays, which works fine for the most part. Last week, I found out my sister, 28 female, has been in touch with my ex all these years. That would have been forgivable since they were close when we were married and she saw him as a brother. But she's actually best friends with his new wife, and she kept it from me for 6 years. I only found out because she left her phone at my house and I saw several texts from the wife. When I asked her about it, she just brushed it off and said it wasn't a big deal. I told her she can do what she wants, but I will be cutting her off completely. I was helping her pay her college loans and going no contact. She called me unreasonable and said I'm being petty and unable to move on from something that happened a long time ago. She also said the wife is a lovely person and a good friend. She said she will be screwed financially speaking, and I told her to go F herself. Somehow my parents agree with her. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. So your sister only cared to have you pay her loans. That's why she kept it a secret, and that's why you shouldn't feel bad cutting her off. She needs to ask your lovely ex and his wife to foot the bill from here on out. Not the a-hole. I know, she clearly chose a side during the divorce, but pretended to be on mine for the money. Your sister doesn't love you. She doesn't care about your pain. I'm realizing that now. I thought I was done with my share of dealing with betrayals, but guess not. Not the a-hole. Anyone who sides with a cheater is probably a cheater themselves. Maybe your sister can ask your ex and his wife to help instead, seeing as how they are best friends. It's strange, and I honestly don't know what level of pretty privilege this is, but no one seems to care what they did. They see two attractive people and act like that justifies everything. The cheating doesn't matter because they're easy to look at. If nothing else, it made it a lot easier for me to cut a lot of people out of my life. Not the a-hole. Sooner or later, one of those perfect people will cheat again, and you can eat some popcorn while all their friends take sides. I don't doubt that. But honestly, this woman worships my ex. From what I've heard, she pursued him despite knowing he was married, and he didn't resist. He's a despicable human being, and so is she. Hopefully their daughter will realize when she gets older why her dad has nothing to do with his other child, and figures out who they really are. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding after she ruined my engagement party? I, 28 female, recently got engaged to my fiancé Justin, 30 male, and we couldn't be happier. We decided to throw an engagement party to celebrate with family and friends, and I was really looking forward to it. My sister Aubrey, 25 female, has always been a bit of a wild card. She's the life of the party, but can also be incredibly self-centered. The night of the party, everything started off beautifully. We had a lovely venue, great food, and our closest friends and family were there to celebrate with us. However, things took a turn when Aubrey arrived. She was dressed to the nines, and I could tell she was ready to steal the spotlight. As the night progressed, she started making comments about my fiancé, saying things like, "I hope you know what you're getting into," and "you could do so much better." I tried to brush it off, thinking she was just being her usual dramatic self, but then she really crossed the line. During the toast, I stood up to thank everyone for coming and to share how much Justin means to me. Just as I was about to finish, Aubrey stood up and interrupted me. She raised her glass and said, "Here's to my sister settling for less. May your life be filled with mediocrity and regret." The room went silent. I was in shock, and Justin looked equally horrified. I felt my face flush with embarrassment and anger. I quickly sat down, trying to regain my composure, but the damage was done. Guests started whispering, and some even left early. I was devastated. After the toast, I confronted Aubrey in private, hoping to get her to see how hurtful her words were. Instead, she doubled down, saying she was just being honest and that I should be thankful for her tough love. The next day, I was still reeling from the humiliation. I knew I had to make a decision about the wedding guest list, and after discussing it with Justin, we decided not to invite Aubrey. I felt that if she couldn't support me during my engagement, she didn't deserve to be a part of my wedding day. When I told my parents about our decision, my mom was furious. She insisted that I should invite Aubrey to keep peace in the family, claiming that family is everything. My dad was more supportive of my choice, saying that I shouldn't have to tolerate toxic behavior, especially on such an important day. As the wedding planning progressed, Aubrey found out she wasn't invited. she exploded on social media, posting about how I was being a bridezilla and how I was excluding her for no reason. This led to a wave of family members reaching out to me, some siding with her and others supporting my decision. One of my aunts even called me to say that I was being too harsh and that Aubrey just wanted what was best for me. I felt cornered and alone. I thought about reaching out to her to talk things over, but I was afraid it would only lead to more drama. Now, with the wedding just a few weeks away, I'm feeling guilty. A part of me wonders if I should just invite her to avoid further family conflict, but another part of me believes that I deserve to have a day free from negativity. So, am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding after she ruined my engagement party? Not the a-hole. I'm a firm believer of actions meet consequences. Don't let guilt trick you into minimizing what she did. That wasn't awkward humor. That was mean. You tried to talk to her afterward and she doubled down. She made her choice, and now you're making yours. She should just be honest and give the sister some tough love. Whoop, there it is. If the sister thought she was just doing the right thing and giving tough love, well, throw that tough love right back in her freaking face and tell her her toast was unacceptable and hurt you both deeply. And since she believes you're making the wrong choice, then she doesn't need to be at your wedding to watch such horrible choices being made. Bottom line, if your own sister just couldn't be happy for you, then she's a drama queen who tried to ruin your moment, and she will not be given the chance to do the same at your wedding. Ruining one event is the limit. Moronic actions have consequences. Inviting her allows her to make more moronic choices. Nope, not today. Stay home with all your stupidity and think about your actions. She is only upset and wants to go so bad so she can pull some BS. Probably object during the ceremony, not the a-hole. Limau, like she's not mad she's missing the wedding. She's mad she won't get a stage to cause drama again. Wouldn't be shocked if she brought a mic to object mid-ceremony LOL. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my entire family I don't love them and never will because I'm the affair baby no one wanted around anyway? Okay, so I'm 15 female, and yeah, I know this might get removed or clowned on or whatever, but honestly, I don't care. I just need to get it out somewhere, because apparently I'm the one who took things too far when I was just saying what we were all already thinking. So, my mom cheated on her fiancé with who also happened to be her best friend's husband. Messy as heck and freaking stupid, yeah, but they all stayed together. Like my mom still married her fiancé. Her best friend stayed with the guy who cheated. Then I was born. I guess I was the crappy cherry on top of that disaster. I grew up with my mom, her husband, and their 2 older kids. They had kids before me. My bio dad stayed with his wife and their kids at their house, and both families stayed weirdly blended. It was like a big performance. One big family with this unspoken rule to never bring up the affair that literally created me until I was old enough. But it was very apparent to me that I was not like the rest, even before they decided to tell me the actual story when I was 12-ish. My half-siblings that I grew up with made it real clear I was other. They never hit me or anything, but I got blamed for everything. If something was missing, it was me. If someone was crying, it was probably something I said. My sister once locked me out of the house and told me I should have never been born. I was 7. When I told my mom, she said I probably provoked it out of her, essentially. She never really protected me. She took care of the basics, fed me, gave me clothes, showed up to parent-teacher conferences when she had to, but there was nothing behind it. Like she was doing a job she didn't sign up for and just wanted to clock out. The only time she got emotional with me was when I embarrassed her, or if other people made her talk about me. Their dad, my mom's husband, was similar. He never yelled or hit me, but he never looked at me the way he did his kids. He never smiled at me, never came to my school plays even though he went to all theirs, never took out on little special trips like the others. If I seemingly messed up, I got lectured like I was a criminal. If they did the same thing, it was just a teaching moment. He never called me his daughter, only by my name unless he had to. The other kids, bio dad's side, mostly ignored me. Not mean, just distant. They barely spoke to me unless they had to. One gave me an old hoodie once, and that was as close to kindness as I got. When I was 9-something, I was officially done with everything. We were at a family birthday thing, and one of the older kids dared me to eat a cookie with nuts in it. I said no, because I'm allergic, obviously. So they smeared it on my face as a joke. I had a full-blown reaction. Swollen face, couldn't breathe, ambulance, the whole thing. At the hospital, my mom cried and said I scared her. But when I told her what happened, she just said they didn't mean it like that. The kid got grounded for 1 weekend. Her husband didn't even come to see me. I knew I didn't love them at all anymore right then and refused to act like I did. I gave everybody the bare minimum of affection and interaction, so it didn't backfire on me, and I just sort of treated them like roommates and neighbors I vaguely knew. Fast forward to last weekend. My mom planned a family healing weekend with both sides of the family. Everyone was there, the siblings, the parents, cousins. It was fake smiles and awkward silences. Then one of my mom's older kids made a snide joke about me causing drama just by existing. My mom laughed. Everyone did. So I snapped on them and told them I don't love any of them and never will. That I'm done pretending to give a flying duck about people who only pretend to care about me. That I'm not family to them, and they're not my family either. They all freaked out. My mom cried and begged me to take it back. Her husband told me I was vile, and that he should have put his foot down with me years ago. The other kids screamed at me for spitting in the face of people who gave me a home. Even my bio dad's kids, who usually ignored me, were upset. One of them told me I was acting selfish and cruel. Now I'm grounded. I am typing this out from my old Fire tablet that my mom forgot to take. My half-siblings keep glaring at me whenever we're in the same vicinity, and my mom's husband full-on stared me down while I was eating breakfast this morning. So that's that. Am I the a-hole for saying I don't love them? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your family sounds genuinely awful. I think you start planning your way out ASAP. Get a job and save up. Then once you find somewhere to go, you pack bags, take all your important documents and go no contact. You deserve better than this. Good luck, OP. I already do odd jobs to save up for college and other stuff. Don't worry. Tell mom that you're done being the sad reminder of her affair and being treated like it was your fault. Tell dad, you should have put your foot down years ago? You mean put your foot down on my neck and put me out of your misery, you mean? What else could you do to treat me like crap? More than you already did. I'm surprised you let me live in your house. Your mother is absolute garbage. So is bio dad. He hasn't bothered to step up for her at all either. Last story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend because of a TikTok prank? I am 21 female and my boyfriend is 19 male, soon to be 20. We had been together for 7 months. My boyfriend is a TikToker and has over 100,000 followers. He does prank videos and basically harasses people in public. I didn't know any of this until shortly before my decision to leave him because he simply never told me. I found out after he decided to prank me. I have a huge fear of spiders and most people are afraid of them in some form, but for me it is a lot more severe. I get panic attacks if I see one. A couple days ago, my boyfriend thought it would be funny to put a large fake spider in the toilet. I wasn't aware there were cameras hidden in the bathroom. As soon as I opened the lid, I saw it and screamed, ran out, slipped on the ground and sprained my ankle. He just walked in laughing. He brought me to the clinic after some convincing, and my foot really was sprained but not badly. Afterwards, he told me about his TikTok, and after I looked, I was shocked. He didn't tell me this in the 7 months of dating him. I asked him not to post the video, but he still did, so I reported it. Still hasn't been taken down. I decided to break up with him, giving him 2 weeks to pack his stuff. I told my family and they think I am overreacting a bit. I honestly am starting to feel like I am. My ankle is still really hard to walk on. Not the a-hole. This prank BS is so awful. Jokes and pranks are only fun if everyone is having fun. This is just straight up torment. You can goof around with your partner without being mean. Yep. Pranks shouldn't leave someone hurt or humiliated. If one person's laughing and the other's crying, it's not a joke. My favorite quote on practical jokes has always been, "The goal of a fine prankster should always be to confuse and ideally amuse, but never ever to abuse." I hope you press charges for him having cameras in the bathroom. That puts him in the sex offender category. He's an abuser, TikToks or no. Always leave abusers the first time you encounter abuse. Oh yeah, non-consenting video footage in a private space, filming a prank that ends in personal injury? This dude is lucky if OP only breaks up with him. This is deserving of legal action, both criminal and civil. OP deserves a payout, and the ex deserves criminal charges. Am I the a-hole for ignoring my dad and the new family he's made, including his other children? My parents got divorced almost 8 years ago after my sister, who was 3 at the time, died. I was 10 at the time. When my sister died, my dad treated my mom like garbage. He turned emotionally and verbally abusive and blamed my mom for my sister's death. He'd do this in front of me, along with plenty of name-calling. My sister was born premature. And even though it wasn't super early, she had an issue with her heart and her stomach, and a combination of complications from those things was the reason she died. None of that was my mom's fault. My parents had IVF to conceive my sister because they couldn't naturally have more kids after me. The whole thing really destroyed my mom and made me hate my dad. Like, I would not care if he dropped dead, and for a while, I wished he would so he'd stop treating my mom like crap. He continued during and even after the divorce. What made him stop was when I turned 13. I told him I hated him and I never wanted to see him again, and I fought, with my mom's help, for the ability to stop being at his house, which I won. I turned 15 before I could get out of every call or visit, though, because the judge tried to insist on contact for a while. Dad fought to have a relationship with me. I didn't want one, and I still don't. He's since remarried and has at least 1 kid. He sent an invite to his wedding, which I ignored. He tried to let me know about his kid, but I ignored him then too. He tried to use the 2 relatives who still talk to him to get to me, but I told them I wanted nothing to do with him or any kids he has, and I don't care if that makes us half siblings because we're never going to be family, and that's not something I'll ever feel guilty for or regret. He's still trying though. Then I got this DM from his wife, who told me that my dad always loved me and I had to understand what losing my sister did to him. Then she pleaded the case for her kids, saying they are innocent and deserve the chance to have a relationship with me. She said ignoring them just meant I was furthering the hurt, and it wasn't fair to the innocent in all of this. I ignored that too, and got roasted by one of the relatives my dad talks to, who told me I was using this as a punishment, when it was time for healing and to think about the innocence of the children involved. So here's me asking if I'm the a-hole, because I still feel unmoved by all of this, and still intend to ignore them and have no relationship, even with the half-siblings. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your father's wife is out of line, as is the other relative. If your father and his wife haven't done expectations with their children about a relationship with you, then they are the ones hurting the kids. You're doing nothing but protecting your peace. I would suggest blocking them all and don't engage any further. I think their kid, or kids, are only babies, so like they don't need to worry about the kids wanting that yet. And they could just not talk about me, and that'd save any problems. There's no reason for them to know. I have my dad blocked. I blocked his wife after her DM too, but I can only block as they pop up. Hopefully that's going to be it for contact. Maybe tell her some of what he did to your mom and you, to make her see why you can't just forgive and forget. Also, tell her that he never acknowledged what he did or apologized to your mom, which indicates to you that he doesn't really have any true regrets and just expects you to rug sweep. How were your first 10 years with him before he turned into a monster? I loved my dad before, and we were close before he turned into an awful person and verbally abused my mom. Not the a-hole. Some people don't even have relationships with their full siblings, never mind step-siblings. Your dad has taken a long time to realize he was an a-hole. He is now seeing the results of the law of unintended consequences. You are not a therapy person for your dad's wife's kids. I'm not even sure if he realizes that, or if he just simply thinks he can make it up to me. Not once did he reach out to apologize to Mom for how he treated her and blamed her for my sister's death. Not the a-hole. He was a monster to a woman that was going through one of the worst pains a woman could face. I can't even imagine what your mother had to endure. Block his wife since she doesn't know her place. She had no business contacting you. Go completely no contact with him. And keep shutting down every attempt to gaslight and manipulate you into playing happy family with him and his new family. Next story. Am I the a-hole for always saying my stepfather is not my dad or real dad, in retaliation for him calling my dad my birth father or the guy who made his son? My dad died when I, 16 male, was 8. My mom married her husband when I was 12. We don't really see eye to eye, and a big reason is he's called my dad my birth father, or the guy who made my son, since he and mom moved in together. To me, birth father sounds like I was adopted, or I'm a donor-conceived kid, which I'm not. I'm not her husband's son either, so him calling my dad the guy who made his son ticks me off. I told him, and I told my mom, that I didn't like how he talked about my dad. He told me I was being nitpicky and sensitive, and that he's just letting people know he's the person raising me now. My mom told me there are worse things than being called his son, and a lot of kids would be giddy if a step-parent claimed them. I told her I'm dad's son and will never be her husband's. She told me she loved dad too, and used to think it would be weird to be another man's wife, but she said it's so healing to let someone else in. Then she asked me why I couldn't be happy to have 2 dads, and I told her because I don't, and I don't want 2 dads either. She said that made her sad, and I told her that her sadness didn't help me with her husband. When I called him that, she visibly cringed and told me it was such an impersonal way to speak about him. I said to speak to her husband about that when he calls my dad the guy who made his son. For 4 years, me and my mom's husband have been tense over this. And last year I started always saying he wasn't my dad, or he'll never be my real dad. I'll even do it when he's being nice because he still talks about dad like he always has. It gets under his skin and it pleases me. It upsets my mom, and given she didn't care about how I felt, I decided to ignore it. But the other night he blew up because I told him he wasn't my dad in front of his friends and family, and friends of my mom. He told me I'm being disrespectful when all he's ever done is try to be a good dad, and I told him he's not my dad, and my dad isn't my birth dad, or the guy who made his son. I'm dad's son. I will always be dad's son, and I told him I would never want to be his son, and my dad would never want me to be his stepfather's son either. My mom asked me why I had to humiliate and disrespect him like that. I told her he can crap all over my dad's memory, so I will crap all over him, and I don't care. I said she chose him, and I didn't, and he's made me determined never to accept him, not even as a friend. She told me retaliating like I am isn't fixing anything and I'm hurting their feelings. I really don't care. I'm still angry at his choice of words, but I know it's petty, so I want to know if I'm an a-hole. Most kids would not be giddy to have a step-parent claim them. WTF, not the a-hole. It's just OP's mom trying to make herself feel better by comparing apples with oranges. Maybe a kid who never had a father would feel giddy if their stepfather claimed them. Maybe a kid who had never known their dad, or had an abusive dad, or a dad who disappeared on them. But that isn't OP. And by using that comparison, his mom is making it sound like she's further dismissing his dad as a parent to try to force her version of happy families. Mom doesn't want to acknowledge that by choosing it to marry a man who wouldn't respect her son's boundaries. She screwed up as a parent, so she continues to assault the memory of OP's dad to try to force his submission on the matter. Mom's husband is treating OP like something he should possess, like if OP acknowledges him as his dad, it wipes away that his wife had a life before him. I feel so sorry for OP. Losing your father at a young age would be awful enough. Having his memory continually attacked as part of an ongoing mission to replace him and rewrite history and biology is honestly cruel. It is, and the thing is, my mom claims she loved dad and all this, yet she married the guy who disrespected him over and over again. So clearly she stopped or didn't care that much in the first place, if that's okay with her. But to expect me to be giddy about the guy who craps all over dad claiming me as his son? I wish my mom would stand by me instead of her husband. But she made her choice and I won't fight for her to change it. She can decide what she likes. Remind your mom that after 18, staying in her life is a choice you get to make. Her husband needs to stop with this behavior if she wants to keep you in her life. She needs to get involved and put an end to this, not the a-hole. I've given up on her doing anything. She made it clear whose side she'll always take in this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he will have to handle it on his own right now? I am 36 female. My husband is 40. My mama, 82, has breast cancer. This is her third time having it, and she's too tired to do chemo again. She is refusing it. She's tired of fighting and wants to go out with dignity at home. My mama is hands down the best person and mama I could have ever had. I don't think she has ever once raised her voice. She was and is the most caring person I've ever met. She was and is just as good of a grandmother as well. There are 14 of us, and I am the youngest. She raised 14 babies and 27 grandbabies, 6 great-grands, and probably just as many friends of babies and grandbabies. Never once raising her voice or hands to one of them. She was and is incredible. She and my dad have been together for 64 years, and I know as soon as Mama goes, Daddy will be right behind her. He looks like he has aged 10 years in just a few weeks. He's still doing everything he can for her, but neither of them are doing well. All of my siblings and I have been taking turns staying with them around the clock. On the days I'm there, I'm pretty much just making sure my kids are good for the night, fixing them dinner, and then going over there. My husband is supposed to get them to bed, and then off to school in the morning. It isn't difficult. My kids know what to do. All he has to do is get them to bed, fix them breakfast in the morning, and wait with them for the bus. This has been a problem, and my husband is angry about it. He feels like I am spending too much time away from home and putting too much on his plate. I'm already devastated about losing my mom. I don't have the best amount of patience right now. The last time my husband and I got into an argument, I'd just gotten home with the kids after taking them to spend an hour with my parents. I had their dinner fixed. All it needed was to be warmed up. My husband got angry that I was dropping the kids off and leaving, and I basically went off on him and told him my mother is dying and he is just going to have to deal with it right now. Since then, we haven't spoken. He's basically giving me the silent treatment. I'm upset about everything going on and very angry with my husband right now. However, I don't know if I was an a-hole for going off on him. I don't think he fully deserved it, and we haven't spent time apart since we got married 12 years ago. So maybe I was being an a-hole? I know it isn't easy for him right now either, but I really expected him to step up and help considering the circumstances. I mean, they are his kids after all. He should be able to handle it. Now for the top comments. Let's put this in black and white, shall we? Your beloved mother is literally dying, and he doesn't give a damn about how this is affecting you. All he cares about is the fact that you are inconveniencing him by forcing him to have to actually parent his own kids for once. Let that sink in. Or how this is affecting their kids who are losing a grandmother. Not a good sign either. That losing his mother-in-law apparently isn't affecting him at all. Your husband should be your biggest source of comfort, rather than making himself a further source of stress. Not the a-hole. Absolutely dead on. I can't imagine saying a freaking word beside, "I'm here if you need me," if my wife's mother were dying of cancer and she were taking care of her. Microwave dinner, tell the kids to brush their teeth, wake up and wait with them for the bus to school? Easy. Dude's a piece of turd. And last story. Am I the a-hole for protecting myself from my biological father and his wife, even if it hurts my kid? When I, 44 female, was 9, my biological father allowed my stepfather to adopt me. My stepfather was a wonderful man who raised me with love and kindness. I even named my firstborn child after him. I don't blame my biological father for signing over his rights. I truly believe he thought my stepfather would give me a better life, and he was right. My mother, on the other hand, was a nightmare and made my life hell. I haven't had contact with her for about 9 years now, so I don't blame my biological father for walking away. I think he saw how bad she was and trusted my stepfather to take care of me. When my stepfather died, I decided to reach out to my biological father. Before then, it felt like it would have been a betrayal, but after my stepfather passed, it felt okay. At first, things went fairly well. Then his wife, who had no idea I even existed until then, found out about me. For context, I was around 36 at the time, and I'm 44 now. She did not take it well. She has a daughter and a son, but she told me she wanted her daughter to be the only one who gave my dad grandchildren. She was awful to me behind his back. She called me a whore, said my house was dirty, accused me of using people for money and so on. I put up with it because I just wanted my dad in my life, and I wanted my kids to have grandparents. She also wouldn't let my dad come see me unless she came too, but she visits her daughter alone all the time. My dad is a talented woodworker, and I asked him to make a bed for my youngest son. He refused, but then made one for her daughter instead. Her daughter's clearly their priority, and I get that to a point because technically, I didn't exist when they got married. After about 4 years, I finally told my dad about the things she was saying. He acted like he was going to fix it, and it stopped for about a year. But then he started saying horrible things to me himself. He told me I had a face like leather, that I looked like an Indian, which he meant as an insult, that I was lazy and old, and called me a liar for no reason. He even sent me an email telling me he was a better parent than me. Eventually, I decided I'd had enough and cut contact. It hurts, but what hurts more is realizing he was willing to treat me that way. Here's the part that makes me feel conflicted. I have 2 sons. One is 21, and he still has a relationship with my father, which I don't interfere with. I'm genuinely happy for them. But my younger son is only 6, and he keeps asking about his grandpa. I feel bad because I don't want to keep my son from family, but I also don't want to keep letting someone in my life who only insults and belittles me. I also don't want to destroy my dad's happiness with his wife, because honestly it seems like they're fine as long as I'm not around. So, am I the a-hole for cutting my father off completely, even though it means my 6-year-old loses contact with his grandfather? You are right to cut him off, because love should not come with cruelty. Protecting your child starts with protecting yourself. I've gone back and forth thinking that maybe I should let my youngest see him. I feel guilty that I chose to remove him from my son's life, but I'm also worried that since my son is a product of me, and I'm not there for them to belittle, that he will be next on the list. Your father's wife will not be pleasant to him. She will favor her grandchildren over your son, in front of your son, and she will belittle you to your son. Her grandchildren will get gifts, or much better gifts right in front of your son. Your father won't step in. You already know this. You cannot be a good mother and allow this to happen to him. You are right. When we did visit them in the past, she would have Amazon deliveries for her granddaughter come to the house, but never anything for my son. She would tell my son that they were for her granddaughter. To be honest, I never thought about it much because I always have provided for my kids. People don't really buy them anything. I have just always done it. Luckily, he was way too little to understand, but I can 100% see what you're saying coming into fruition. You are definitely right.